A big rocket city welcome to the astronauts of the SpaceX Crew 11. 3 of the 4 members made a stop at the Marshall Space Flight Center this morning as part of their post-mission tour of NASA's facilities. NASA astronaut Zena Cardman and Mike Fink, along with a Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut Kimiya Yu, made the journey to the rocket city today. Their mission ended early back in January after one of the astronauts had to be medically treated back here on Earth. FOX54 had the chance to speak with the 3 crew members about the important work done here in Huntsville and their perspective on NASA's recent announcement of plans to put man back on the moon and eventually Mars.
We only had small pictures of people who we were talking to, like who our teams were. We would look it up every morning to see who we're going to be working with. And I'll just say they are just much more beautiful than they are in the pictures.
Crew 11 members finally got the chance to meet the people they worked with while in space, and FOX54 spoke with them. The astronauts shared what it meant to reunite with the voices that keep the ISS running as ground members at NASA's ISS Payload Operations Integration Center took part.
Getting to know these people as not only colleagues and the voice of the mission control team here in Huntsville at POIC, but also they feel like friends. It's a familiar voice in your ear when you're working on something every day. And so it feels like a great reunion to be here face to face with our friends and our colleagues.
This visit comes after Tuesday's announcement about changes to the lunar program for which all 3 astronauts are anticipating.
We all feel incredibly excited for what's to come at NASA and with our international collaboration. And this is what we've been working towards for 25 years with continued human presence on the International Space Station.
From the international partner point of view, we really appreciate United States leadership. It is necessary to achieve a great result for the future, so we really appreciate that.
We're going to need the help of our friends from Alabama to get this going. We went to the moon the first time with Alabama. We're going to have to go again, so it's going to take everybody working really hard together with a lot of people with the science, technology, engineering, math, everybody bringing their skill set so we can all go on this adventure together.
And as the Q&A was wrapping up, Yui answered the final question on a positive note, discussing some of the bad he could see from Earth, but also the good in space.
On the other hand, in space station, a lot of countries actually different cultures, language, histories, but working together, respect each other, not deciding that good or bad, but just accept the differences. So ISS is a great example for the bright future.
Oh yeah, what an honor to have them here in the Rocket City. Well, Fink also says that he believes the saying from Werner von Braun will always be true. The path to the moon leads through Huntsville, Alabama. Brush fires popping up across the Tennessee Valley from Jackson to Limestone counties, and it's happening earlier than many would expect. The Alabama Forestry Commission says spring conditions are creating a perfect storm for wildfires, and they're urging people to take it seriously. Just this week, an 8-acre brush fire in East Limestone was contained in under 2 hours. And in Jackson County, a fire on Crow Mountain even delayed power restoration. Jackson County officials warned dry conditions are making fires spread fast. FOX54's Valentina Chalala shows you why it's happening and how to prevent it.
You've probably seen a Smokey Bear sign like this for years. But spring isn't a time where you typically think about fire. And that's exactly when the risk starts climbing in North Alabama. Low humidity, dry vegetation, and gusty winds create ideal conditions for brush fires. After winter, dead grass and leaves act as fuel, making it easy for fires to ignite and spread quickly.
The humidity levels have been minimal to non-existent. We've been incredibly dry here at the surface, where we're talking about dew points, which is a measure of the amount of moisture. There is no moisture in our atmosphere, so there is no dew forming overnight, which I can understand would help the fire situation because now you're taking wet grass, water, fire doesn't mix.
Dan Wilkerson, the Huntsville Fire Marshal, says fire prevention starts at home. Avoid outdoor burning when conditions are dry and never leave a fire unattended.
When you're landscaping, that you landscape the vegetation away from your house. So the best way to prevent them is to clean up the dry, old vegetation and make way for the new vegetation to happen.
Terrain also plays a role. Fires can spread faster uphill, while wind can shift flames in unpredictable ways. When fire moves into wooded areas, that's when the Alabama Forestry Commission steps in.
One of the key differences between wildland firefighting and structure firefighting. Structure firefighting is suppression. Put the water on the fire until it goes out, We have bulldozers and other equipment to go through the woods creating fire breaks, which are breaks in the continuous fuel.
With nearly 35,000 acres burned across Alabama in the past year, Maddox says awareness and prevention are key during this high-risk spring season. In Huntsville, I'm Valentina Chalala, Fox 54 News.
The Alabama Forestry Commission also reminds residents that outdoor burning is restricted statewide from May 1st through October 31st. And if a fire does break out, call 911 immediately.
It takes more than great food to keep a food truck on the road. On top of costs for labor, supplies, and ingredients, food truck owners have to navigate rising gas prices.
It's just amazing how much everything goes up.
We're all feeling the pinch when we fill up our tanks, but for food truck owners, that high price per gallon is a recipe for disaster.
Eggs were so expensive. Now they came down. Now it's gas prices. It's always something.
Greg Colello runs Ralph's Snack Bar.
It's truly food trucks on steroids.
The company owns about 85 food trucks, both gourmet trucks for events and independently contracted trucks.
It was like $3 a couple weeks ago, and boom, now it's like $5.
Greg's spot on. According to AAA, the current average price here in Arizona is $4.62 for regular gas per gallon, compared to $3.27 a month ago. For food trucks that roam the valley, it's a steep price to pay to keep these meals on wheels moving.
Because they're out 7 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon. So let's say they was $60 a day. Now they're $90 a day. And it depends on what area you're at. If you're in Gilbert, it's a long way to drive out, drive back.
The pump price hike is hard to miss lately.
It's been crazy. It's been going up a lot. It's been almost $5 a gallon now.
It's been so much lately. Like, I only put like 20 and it's not even like all the way, like half. It's been so much of it.
But Greg says rising prices in general are just a reality we all have to face.
The thing is that the customer kind of expects it. They see it. They go to the grocery store and, you know, chicken breast used to be $2.99 and now it's $4.50. So they kind of see it. Sometimes they go to our trucks at events. They go, wow, your prices are pretty good.
Greg tells me he hasn't had to raise his prices, but he expects that some might, just to deal with the rising costs of fuel. Reporting in Tempe tonight, Megan Spector, Fox 10 News.
At more than 400 airports across the country, TSA officers serve as aviation's front line of defense. But for the last 6 weeks, they've been doing so without a paycheck.
Just across the whole thing, it's pretty much a disaster, especially financially.
Greg Jones is one of roughly 150 TSA employees at Tucson International Airport who hasn't been paid in 40 days.
It still feels surreal to me that anyone should have to go through this. It's just surreal.
And it's not his first time. After last year's government shutdown halted payments to TSA employees for 43 days. A delay Jones says has taken a toll on himself and his colleagues.
It doesn't matter if you're just a TSO all the way up the chain. It affects everybody that's required to show up to work without pay.
Since the shutdown started, 460 TSA officers have quit, and daily call-out rates at airports have increased from 4% to 11% nationwide. Well, that's yet to happen here. Danette Bewley with the Tucson Airport Authority says she's worried about the impact of a long-term funding lapse.
If this extends any longer, I don't know if there's going to be people who call out or decide that this is a career that they need to shift because they need reliability in their paycheck.
That's why the airport is holding a donation drive for TSA employees and asking the Southern Arizona community to help.
To see their hardship on the front lines is very difficult, and as an airport operator, I find it nearly impossible not to want to do something.
But outside of making their voices heard, Bewley says their hands are tied, putting workers like Jones in the middle of a fight they didn't ask for.
We're political pawn pieces or something. It feels like all of our lives are being messed with.
While Congress negotiates the future of TSA's funding, Jones says he has just one ask for himself and the thousands of other TSA workers across the country.
Pay us back with interest. I just think that's fair, especially given what we're going through. And that's everybody. It don't matter what level, whether you're TSO all the way up to chain, because everybody's feeling the heat. Pay us back with interest, please.
Major airports are experiencing days where 40 to 50% of their staff are calling out because they simply cannot afford to report to work.
TSA's deputy administrator laying bare the desperate plight of TSA employees still working without pay and the crippling impact it's having on airport security wait times.
This has led to the highest wait times in TSA history, with some wait times greater than 4.5 hours.
Those lines out the door and into vehicle lanes in front of the airport at Houston's George Bush Intercontinental in Texas. The airport reported a 2-hour wait Wednesday, down from more than 4 hours earlier in the week. Airport officials say it can't continue like this.
We typically operate 37 TSA checkpoint lanes. At this point, TSA is only able to staff somewhere between a third to 50% of them. That is not sustainable.
Flight attendants unions agree.
This is unsustainable. Flight attendants are saying pay TSA now.
TSA officials advocating for their workers.
Some are sleeping in their cars, selling their blood and plasma, received eviction notices, had their cars repossessed, and utilities shut off.
But some of the most convincing testimony of the difficulty coming from the TSA workers themselves.
I feel angry. I feel used. I feel abused. This is not a job. This is a career. To know that we're coming on our third missed paycheck in less than 5 months.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
With a 2-week congressional recess looming, the pressure is on to get a deal done to end this partial government shutdown.
We're now on day 41 of the disgraceful Democrat shutdown of Mark Wayne's department.
This week, Republicans made an offer which Democrats rejected, saying it didn't have enough changes to immigration enforcement.
The White House, President Trump, and Republicans have made so many concessions. They ended the Minnesota surge. Kristi Noem is no longer there. They've ended roving patrols. They have added body cameras.
Republicans sent us their offer yesterday and contained none of what had been talked about, none of the reforms we had been discussing.
The acting TSA administrator testified before Congress Wednesday and revealed some grim statistics. TSA lines are the longest they have ever been in history, some topping 4 hours. Nearly 500 officers have quit, and many can't pay their bills.
Some are sleeping in their cars, selling their blood and plasma, and taking on second jobs to make ends meet, all while being expected to perform at the highest level when in uniform.
The head of TSA warned if a funding agreement isn't reached soon, operations at some smaller airports will have to shut down to consolidate TSA employees. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
Easter spending is expected to break records this year, topping $24 billion. Shoppers are expected to shell out just under $196 per person. That's a more than $6 jump compared to last year.
I think consumers have opted to make savings in other places so that they can spend at events like these because they are important.
Mark Matthews with the National Retail Federation says most consumers say they'll be buying candy and food.
Food is really the key theme that runs through all the data this year.
So let's break down recent food prices. Overall, the price for candy is up 11% in the last 12 months, according to the latest Consumer Price Index report. Meat prices have jumped more than 8% in the last year, and prices have gone up for bakery products, fruits, and vegetables. The good news is egg prices have tumbled by more than 42%.
When we look at inflation, it's remaining stubbornly high, but most of it tends to be services inflation.
Matthew says there are things you can do to help keep costs down.
Signing up to loyalty programs and looking out for those deals.
Cooking a meal instead of eating out can also help lower your costs. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Whether you love it or hate it, millions of people around the world are using artificial intelligence software for a variety of tasks. But a growing number of hackers are also using AI to amplify and improve their cyber schemes.
It can write better phishing emails. It is helping them automate the whole process. It is helping them write better malware, faster malware.
Digital security experts say the online threats are evolving, along with the extensive digital network that exists today. It's creating more vulnerabilities as hackers widen their scope of attacks.
Our computing environment is getting much more complex. We have cloud computing now, we have IoT devices, we'll have SCADA systems.
But industry experts say AI programs can also help boost our defenses by combing through massive amounts of data for anything that could be compromised.
If you look at what's happening today, we have terabytes of data, petabytes of data coming in through logs and whatnot. Without the use of AI, there is no way to reduce the data and be able to examine all of that.
Professionals say the public should always be on the lookout for anything suspicious, including fake messages where hackers impersonate real organizations to try and steal sensitive information.
You can implement security at multiple levels, right? But the cost of security should not be more than what it is worth to you or what you can afford.
Meanwhile, smaller and larger businesses alike should have proper guardrails in place.
You want to make sure that we have the firewall in place, which is well configured. We want to make sure we are patching all of our systems. We have identity and access management system.
Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
It's a disorder of the brain that can cause unprovoked and unpredictable seizures.
Patients with epilepsy will say that that's one of the worst things about their epilepsy. They never know when it's going to come.
Dr. Danielle Becker with the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center says epilepsy takes an extra toll on women and girls throughout their lives. Things like puberty, menstruation, pregnancy, post-pregnancy, and menopause can all lead to hormone fluctuations that may impact seizure severity, but she says treatments can help.
So even if we can't stop your seizures, but we know they're going to come around this time of month, the moment that you feel something, you would take this rescue medication to try to shut it down and also prevent it from occurring.
Becker says epilepsy and medications taken for it can also put bone health at risk, lead to birth control failure, and pregnancy complications. But she says with the care of a doctor or specialist, complications are rare.
I have had patients come to my office and tell me that they were told that because they have epilepsy, they can't have a baby. And that is not true. And many, many patients with epilepsy have normal, healthy babies.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Earlier today, Huntsville City Schools alerted parents that an individual at Grissom High School tested positive for tuberculosis. And tonight, many parents and students are asking what that means for their children. But what exactly is tuberculosis? How does it spread? And is there a vaccine to protect you? We verify. March 24th marked World Tuberculosis Day, a global effort to raise awareness about one of the world's deadliest infectious diseases. The issue hits close to home when Huntsville City Schools confirmed a case connected to Grissom High School. With millions of cases still reported every year around the world, you might be asking, how does tuberculosis spread and is there a vaccine? Let's verify. Our sources are Dr. Ali Hassoun from the Alabama Infectious Disease Center, the Cleveland Clinic, and the CDC. Here's what we found. Tuberculosis is a bacterial infection caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis. It most commonly attacks the lungs, but it can also spread to the spine, brain, and kidneys. So how does it spread?
Somebody who's infected with tuberculosis, if they're coughing, it can transmit that in the air, and whoever in a close contact possibly can get infected with it.
And that airborne transmission is what makes TB so scary. In crowded or poorly ventilated spaces like classrooms, shelters, and healthcare facilities, the bacteria thrives. So is there a vaccine? Dr. Hassoun says a vaccine does exist, but its track record is complicated.
In the old days, people have used what we call BCG, and it's been used worldwide, not in the United States. But the benefit of it and the efficacy is very variable, they found out.
But here's something important to know. Not everyone who is exposed will get sick right away. According to the Cleveland Clinic, up to 13 million people in the U.S. have latent TB, meaning the bacteria are dormant. They show no symptoms and are not contagious. But if you do come in contact with someone with active TB, it could be a while before you learn whether you're sick. Experts say it can take 4 to 6 weeks for it to appear on a test. Researchers are actively working on next-generation TB vaccines, but for now, awareness and early detection remain your best defense. To reduce your risk, wash your hands frequently, cover your mouth when you cough, and avoid prolonged close contact with anyone known to have active TB. If you think you've been exposed, you're recommended to see your doctor right away. And if you have something you want us to verify, text us at 256-382-2692.
The day Rome falls, there will be a shout shout of freedom such as the world has never heard before.
Here's your chance to see Ben-Hur on the big screen. The 1959 epic, which won Best Picture and 10 other Oscars, has been remastered in 4K and returns to theaters March 29th for 4 days only. More info at fathomentertainment.com.
This store is my story.
Ins Choi wrote Kim's Convenience 15 years ago and originally played the part of the son. The play about a Korean family-run store inspired a television series and now a traveling revival of the acclaimed show in which he's playing the father.
But I always wanted to play Appa one day, and I got older and had kids, and they call me Appa, so they've been preparing me for this role for their whole lives.
Kim's Convenience, what Choi calls his love letter to first-generation immigrants, is playing in Los Angeles through April 19th. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
We did the sauce competition, we went to it, and we moved to New York City.
This was my last one, Mom. I don't want Dad.
I know, but you need a guardian.
I can, if you really need me.
What does really mean?
Right. No, you're right.
A father and daughter struggle to reconnect after a tragedy in She Dances.
This family has been to hell and back, and we are all still very, very fragile, including your father.
Just be there for her.
Peace.
Oh, sure.
You adopt your kids' subcultures and you become a logistics officer. And then you realize that it's going to end for you, too.
Steve Zahn and director Rick Gomez conceived the film during Steve's daughter Audrey's final competition.
And we were like, hey, man, what's going on today? Send me more pics. And then he said, dude, we got to write something. This world is so interesting.
Audrey competed in national dance competitions as a teenager. Mackenzie Ziegler plays her dance partner and ride or die.
Kenzie, it was so easy for us to connect because we both grew up in the same world. So, we had so much to relate to. We did, the dance rehearsals about 2 weeks before we filmed, and that always makes you really close because you're sweating in a room together for a few hours.
Sometimes this road we're on is brutal and exhausting. Like there's not a whole lot we can do about it. Like we don't have a say in any of it. But maybe we do.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
A 911 call about a possible grass fire turned out to be a false alarm when firefighters discovered the reported smoke was in fact just prodigious plumes of pollen. A homeowner reported smoke in some trees in Green Valley State Park, raising the alarm with the Creston Fire Department, which responded alongside the Iowa Department of Natural Resources. Officials quickly confirmed no controlled burns were taking place in the park, and after observing cedar trees sporadically releasing clouds of pollen that looked a lot like smoke, they put two and two together, deeming the scene to be of no threat. That is, unless locals in the area hadn't taken their allergy meds. And while those responders were all in, officials in Texas are throwing in the towel on a uniquely named town with a stolen sign problem. KLTV reports the Department of Transportation has decided to stop putting up road signs in the tiny town of Bug Tussle after some 70 signs bearing the quirky town's name were stolen over the years. It's an odd problem to have, but it seems locals saw the writing on the wall.
People keep stealing them. People just like the name Bug Tussle.
Nevertheless, signs or no, life goes on for the residents of this bustling Bug Tussling burg, all 15 of them. Finally, a bustling concourse in the Philadelphia airport was the surreal scene of a new world record for the longest line of cheesesteaks. The airport reports over 900 pounds of chopped beef and some 200 pounds of cheese were slathered on rolls by participants over a couple of hours as a judge from Guinness World Records observed and verified that the cheesy chain, some 1,291 sandwiches strong, clinched the new title. If only all long lines at the airport were this much fun. Too soon? Sorry. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Big changes here. The U.S. Mint releasing new coins to celebrate America's upcoming semi-quincentennial. The new dime, quarter, and half-dollar coins commemorate 250 years of America. Billions will be produced for this year only, and some are already in circulation. And there's one thing that sets them apart. Paul Hollis, the director of the U.S. Mint, says each denomination has a distinct theme, reflecting our nation's founding principles and honoring its history. The emerging Liberty dime features a rendition of Lady Liberty, and on the back, an eagle, for the first time since 1837. In a slow rollout, we'll see 5 quarters released throughout the year, depicting 5 major points in America's journey: the Mayflower Compact, which is out now, followed by the Revolutionary War, the Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Constitution, and the Gettysburg Address. And although it will not be put into circulation, the Mint also created a $50 to commemorate 250 years, honoring our democracy as we look to the future. Also for collectors, a variety of sets are available, including limited production mint and proof editions. And interestingly, each one will include a penny, even though they stopped making them last year. So how to get your hands on these new coins? Well, there's a few ways. Check your change at the register, ask for them at the bank, or you can order them directly from the Mint's website. In Los Angeles, William Lajeunesse, Fox News.
This is something of a bellwether verdict. It's the first crack in the dam. The courts are explicitly treated this as a design defect case, not content moderation fight, not sidestepping long-standing immunity agreements. That opens the door to hundreds, potentially thousands of similar claims already queued in the US courts, the European courts, and around the world. I mean, this isn't about content, it's about design. The algorithm is a product. They don't just sell temptation. They built a machine that manufactures compulsion. We've always monetized human weakness, but we've never automated it at this scale. This verdict isn't really about Facebook or Google. It's about whether you can use a system to profit from something you know is harmful, so long as you say users choose it.
Fox 54 Plus has your news, sports, and weather. Start your evening with Fox 54 at 5:30, delivering the latest headlines and live reports straight from the scene. Then, stay informed with Fox 54 News at 9, featuring your Tennessee Valley certified most accurate weather impact team, tracking everything from tornado threats to traffic delays during severe weather. Fox 54 Sports Extra brings you more of what sports fans crave, with deeper insights, expert analysis, and all the action that matters most. On Fox 54 Plus, you'll also find Alabama politics, plus 24/7 weather radar and real-time forecasts to keep you ahead of the storm. Looking for a quick recap? Don't miss Fox 54 Week in Review, highlighting the biggest stories of the week. Jumpstart your morning with Morning Rush. Fast-paced news updates, featured with uplifting stories from across the globe. Get your entertainment fix with Getting Real, where we break down movie reviews, top 10 lists, and spotlight the newest film. Die Hard fan? Locked On Sports dives deep into the Crimson Tide, the Tigers, college rivalries, and pro action. True crime warrior style? Killer Cases brings you gripping real-life stories that stick with you. Hungry for more? Cooking with Style serves up mouth-watering recipes that are easy to make and impossible to resist. From movie previews before you head to the theater with Take a Look, to must-know headlines from across the region and around the world with In the News. Watch all of these shows on demand and also on the Fox 54 News app. Available on Android and iOS devices. Streaming 24/7.
There's more to Fox 54 Plus with the Locked On Podcast Network. From the Tide to the Tigers, from college teams to pro, the Locked On Podcast Network gives you insights and analysis you just can't find anywhere else.
These kids, they want to play.
But I don't think so. I think it was Chad Baker-Mazara.
Locked On Sports, streaming every day of the week and right here on Fox 54 Plus.